All right, it's day 2, and we're going to get Steve's list of 3 games that tell great stories that you wouldn't expect them to. Let's do it.
Yep. Stick around. All right, so I've got 3 gems for you today, 3 treasures that I've cultivated.
Dug up.
Chris's liquor stinks, man.
Seriously, I'll move it. I drink something else.
It smells like a rotting dead body. It's horrible.
Just peat. There could be a body in there.
That's right. There were the bodies buried in peat and preserved. That's what makes it taste so good.
Yeah.
And that brings me to my first game, Mysterium.
Great. Yeah, there you go.
Now, in this game, you are psychics. The players are psychics, and another player is playing a ghost. And the ghost is trying to communicate with the psychics about, how they wound up dead, who killed them, that kind of information. And they're doing so with picture cards that they give you, kind of like Dixit, for example, which is like a surreal kind of weird art game.
Yeah, there's all kinds of weird stuff, weird colors. All kinds of like strange things happening on the that you can pick out.
Essentially, a million ways to interpret the card.
Yeah, lots of colors.
Yeah,
and that's the challenge in Mysterium, because what on that card is that ghost trying to tell me? Because everything's on that card, but it could be one specific thing that they're trying to get across in the message. So what I think is fun is when you're going through this game, I come up with a story in my head. How in the world did this person die? And I start putting the clues together. And I picture the story about how the crazy lady, gets the pot and clocks the guy over the head
while they're at the bakery.
Yeah, right.
In the bakery, whatever bizarre scenario it turns out to be. And that's a lot of fun. It's very challenging though, because a lot of times the story I come up with is wrong. Because,
It's not technically how you're supposed to play.
Right.
No, it's not. But
it's interesting. The people that do well at Mysterium, don't necessarily play the game, they play the ghost. It's always it's like so many times people will try to pick the word out of the cards, but it's more, what would Steve's warped mind come up with that makes that word appear on this card?
Well, it kind of makes sense.
Those are the people that do well.
It makes total sense though, as you're psychics and you're trying to interpret this ghost. Yeah. And maybe you knew that ghost in life, right?
Yeah.
Like that person in life and the way they think and the things that they would notice and the correlations they'd make between the surreal artwork and the old lady, or the surreal artwork and the pot and the bakery,
Yeah, or the poison. There's so many ways to die in Mysterium. So many stories you can write.
Mysterium's a great one, Steve.
Yes, thank you. So my next pick is a game by Ignacy Jevicek.
Steve, be with me on this. It's very, very simple. Trzewicek. Let's repeat. Trzewicek. And now in a full sentence. Ignacy Trzewicek is a great designer.
It's close enough, Steve.
Stronghold. Stronghold is one player is holding down a castle, or a team holding down this castle. They're the valiant humans. Everybody loves humans. I'm dear to them, near and dear to them. Like
Humans
you guys
are terrible people.
Anyway, the other side is either skeletons or orcs, whichever expansion you're playing, and they are trying
trolls. There's orcs, goblins, and trolls in the base box.
Yes.
And then there's undead, which is in an expansion that isn't out yet.
And those things are trying to breach the walls, invade the castle, slaughter everybody inside, and take it for their own. Every time I play this, I picture Lord of the Rings going on.
Oh, yeah.
And I write a scenario like the orc king or whatever is trying to breach these different areas. They're sending their people in and like, that's not working. Let's try to blow a hole in it or whatever. It's fun. And then meanwhile, the defenders, what are they going to do? What are they talking about?
Yeah.
What, like, good Lord, is this ever going to end? Nonstop greenskins just coming at me. There's a lot of story in there. J.R.R. Tolkien will be all over this game.
Yeah, for sure. I think that I get the same thing out of it, specifically on the attacker's side, because often they'll put those siege engines up, right? Like they'll have catapults and trebuchets and ballistas, and the way the game works that's so awesome is that they're really inaccurate. And as they're firing, they keep going and they keep missing and they keep missing and doing nothing. But then the more misses you have, you take them out of the deck. So there's more hits in there now. So the more they shoot, the more accurate they become. Yeah. And I keep picturing these like dumb goblins down there just like firing at randomly. And they're like, okay, it's like 3 clicks to the right over there. And like, miss again. They're like, all right, 2 more clicks to the right down there. And like these goblins are all like falling over each other. It's like so much fun to like kind of picture all of that stuff happening. It's a good game, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I always imagine the generals issuing the different orders for all the different actions that people can do.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that really kind of breaks the story for me is the random creatures that can come out. Like you get that random draw of what things you're going to get.
Well, that's how they're disorganized.
That's true.
All of the greenskins are disorganized. They're like, all of a sudden, like a couple of trolls come wandering out. They're like, oh, come on, let's go up to the hill there. Go off to the right.
Trolls just wandering. They're like, oh, what's this noise over here?
Like there's all these different tribes coming in. Like there's all kinds of story that you can make with this game.
And the orcs are Scottish.
Apparently.
Oh, yeah, really?
Oh, Claddy.
Well, the dwarves are
Get
always
your
Scottish.
big green arse over there.
Yes, Steve.
All right.
Exactly.
My third and final pick is Conan. And I picked this because I read so many of those Conan short stories, and they're all kind of different from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you play this game, and you can write your own Conan stories of what's going on here. Because each scenario is totally different from the last one. He's on a pirate ship fighting pirates. Then he's sneaking around in a tavern. It's like weird things are going on, but it's fun. And it's very thematic to the original stories. So I think that there's a ton of storytelling that could be had in Conan.
Yeah, it plays out like almost like a novel, and it makes me think of Big Trouble in Little China, where doesn't necessarily follow the story of the movie, but as we would play the game, as the story progressed, different characters and what they did kind of fleshed them out a little more, and like you were the bumbling Jack Burton who got found in a pickle barrel.
Yeah, I tell you, Steve, Conan does have a little bit of story in the scenario book, but it's like 2 sentences of story. It's like, oh, the princess got captured by the Picts. Go get her. You know what I mean? It's like not a whole lot of story there, but you're absolutely right. Because when Monolith put up this Kickstarter, they took a lot of care to make this edition of Conan feel like the books. As a matter of fact, I believe they had like consultants coming in that were sort of like Conan experts to make sure that they did it right. They did it like the books, removing all of the insensitive stuff, because there was a lot back then. Oh, yeah. Lovecraft has it too.
Yep.
But and that game really captures the essence of what those Robert E. Howard stories really were. Because I read them all too. Because Conan's one of my favorite things, and it really feels like a Conan story is playing out, even to the fact that many of the characters are different in every story you listen to or read. He has completely different group of friends that like, where do they come from? He just met them in the road and he's fighting with them now. And that's the same thing with this, right? Like every mission has like a different character in it. It's so great. It's such a great story.
Now I wonder why we weren't in this panel of experts they assembled.
I don't know, Steve. We could have done it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, really. You could have done the whole game.
Yes. So anyway, Conan, check it out. It's a little pricey. Lots of minis in that game, though.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
And there's tons of storytelling potential.
All right. Well, thank you, Steve. I do approve of your list. I think all of those games are excellent, and they all tell fantastic stories.
There you go, Steve.
Now, the problem is we got one more episode to go, and we're going to get Chris.
That's right.
I think he made his list right before the shoot here.
No, I had my list earlier, but then it got nixed because it didn't fit the requirements.
We should put a storytelling game in it that doesn't meet the requirements.
I had a very specific reason for it, but nope. That's
honorable.
fine.
You can do honorable mention.
Nope.
I did
I'll do an honorable mention. That's what I'm gonna do.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
come on back tomorrow where you're gonna get
Jerks.
Chris's list with an honorable mention. We'll see you then. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you later.
Thanks so much, everybody. If you've enjoyed this video, please do us a giant favor by subscribing to the channel and clicking that wacky bell icon. If you're into board games, miniatures games, role-playing games, we have a bunch of audio podcasts you might enjoy. You can find those at thesecretcabal.com or on iTunes and Stitcher.